Hi, welcome back to Mechanic Garage. Time for a bit more work on the 207 I saved from scrap. Little bit brighter today, although it's pretty cold, so I'm going to get on with it, get this engine oil leak sorted, and we'll go from there. Right, if you're looking down there, you can see the plastic housing with the end of the camshaft there. That's what it was leaking from, that gasket. Now, because of where it is, it's going to be difficult to film and show you what's what, so I'll stick it to the side. You can get the general gist. I think there's a couple of bolt holes in the header stripped, so I'll either have to replace them with slightly longer bolts, or more likely I'll make some studs that'll reach the bottom of the hole and go tight, and then I can stick a nut on the end. All depends if I've got access to slide it over the stud at the end. But I'll get it all out, get it cleaned up, we'll get the gasket on, we'll have a look, see how bad the holes are. Might be. As I say, there's not a lot of room for you to see. You'd probably going to see more of the back of my head than anything. Let's try and make a bit of space for getting some wiring out of the way. The loom gets right in the way down there, so I'll have to try and wriggle it out of the clips. Unfortunately, you're not going to be able to see an awful lot of that. There you go, that's one bit. Took the battery cover off for slightly better access for you to see and for me to get at. Right, the pipe at the bottom and one at the front. Yeah, the easy answer is I'm not going to be able to get any pipe work, any studs in there with the metal pipe there that's in the way. So let's try and get this off. A little bit of rusty coolant. Yeah, the heater hose there that runs across, that's bolted in. That might be a bit awkward. So it's got to go round over the end of it rather than just in. Maybe, I don't know. There's just one underneath, it's a bit of a pain. Actually, I might be able to clean it up there. Yeah, that's definitely where it's been leaking, because that gasket's mush. I'll just move you in so you can have a look. Yeah, that gasket on the side of the engine here, half of it's missing off here already, got stuck to that, and it's all just grotty. So clean all that off, clean inside the head, get a little bit of sealant on with new gaskets, and we'll be good as new. Right, that's that clean, checked, cleaned all the bolts up, and just run them into each of these holes to make sure they've actually got a thread, because they may have just been loose. If the gasket's disintegrated, these will go loose. It could be that all there is actually wrong with this engine. I did take the cam belt cover off, just to see what part number everything was on there, because there was a few different variations, and I just wanted to find, there was ones at 30 quid and ones at 12 quid for the same belt, depending on what application it was in. So I wanted to check what was what with it. And yeah, that one might be stripped. Yeah, that one. I wonder how far that'll actually go in. It's not too bad if there's only one that's stripped, so I can put a stud into it. If there's any thread left at all. Further down. Yeah, that's alright. That just needs to be about 5mm longer, because that is catching. But first half of the hole it isn't. Just get a screwdriver in there and see how deep it is. Let's get an Allen key actually, it's longer, it's thinner to get out. Okay, so that's that deep. That deep into the head. So that's more than anywhere near, but the hole seems to be full of RTV, which might be what happened and why it's killed it. Might be the fact that the hole's that full of it when they put it on, that the bolt couldn't get down inside. So it effectively just tore out the threads. So if I just run a drill bit into it, getting a lot of this muck comes out. Ideally, it could do with a tap down it, but there's nowhere for that to go either. Alright, okay, that's got to the bottom of the hole now. Yeah, you put too much on, it goes into a blind hole and the bolt can't tighten. Nowhere for it to go. Yeah, the first half of the hole is stripped. As expected. There's quite a lot for it to go into, that's good. Just double check. Looks like the rain's going to turn up miles earlier than it should be. Right, threaded bar, measure the bolt. I'm not going to focus on it. I'll cut it about that long, so I've got enough to go further in and also enough to stick out the end, put a nut on. There you go. I've got a bit of threaded bolt, a threaded bar, sorry. Slightly longer. There you go. So look at the camera, not the bloody bolt. Slightly longer, so that it'll go in further, and also then there's enough room for that. I put two nuts together, locked back to back, so I can actually wind it in and get it solid. So I'm going to try and get that in now, and then hopefully be able to get the actual housing over the top of it. If not, I might have to screw it in afterwards. No, that'll have to go in afterwards, but that's fine. Nice little coat at both sides of the gasket. It's only very thin sealant, but you can put them on dry, but I'm not risking it, as I say. It's too big a faff, too big a mess to do that. I'll stick them on where they need to be. Same with the water side of it. Just a thin smear over it. This stuff's good. It's really good, but it's also really, really messy and very, very sticky. The good thing, excuse me, the good thing is it sticks to where you put the gasket. Where you put it, it stays in place. Right, let's try and get this in place. I think I've got all the gasket off. It's been cleaned. Get it in place without disturbing that gasket. I get a couple of them into each side. And it stops it moving the gasket about. So we'll find out whether there's any more that actually are stripped when you cut a tighten them. And start winding these in evenly. I took them off with a little battery ratchet and put them back on the hand, just because it'll be easy to go too hard with the ratchet and strip the threads. especially if they're already a little bit weak, but I don't think they are. Just wind them all up gently, get it even. I'm going to change the oil and filter as well while I'm here. As I say, I've got a cam belt for it. Doesn't really need changing. Looking at it, it's fairly recent. Doesn't look very old at all. But whilst I've got the car here, and there's no history with it, so I'd rather do the belt for the cost and time it's going to be, and then whoever buys it, it's peace of mind. Doesn't need doing. Right, that's starting to tighten now. That's tightening up, which means that bolt's going into the bottom of the hole. And still got enough room to get the nut off. That's good, that's sorted that problem. Let's get the back nut off now, which is snug. Get the second one off, and I can turn it around and put it straight back on. Now there's a bit of the thread poking out of the end. Which is now tight. Just nip them all, just make sure I haven't missed any. Not missed any, except I've got 2 bolts spare, so there's one there that I had visually missed. Oh well, easy done. And that's that. One spare bolt from there, and we're all back in. So whether that stud there that I've put in the centre might be a bit too long, I might have to just trim it off in situ depending on what's around it. Right, I've got a couple of bits of pipe work and bolts back in rather than just see the back of my head. Just this plate here goes back on. I'll replace these bolts because they were a mishmash of odds and sods. Nothing that matched, so I'll fit 2 new little Allen key ones with washers. I'll secure that wire into that. Really, all there is to do then is undo this bleed screw at the top, refill the coolant, warm her up, and then once it's warm, that's a 5mm. Once it's warm, I can then change the oil. Right, let's get the coolant filled. I've removed the little bleed screw at the end, so I'll just fill it until that starts coming out of there. There is obviously still some left in there. It only lowers it so and so much. Let it flow through. It'll take a while to drip down. You've got the header tank there, the bleed screw down there, so I'll leave you on that bit and you can let me know when it starts coming out. Keep the water level on max. You should bleed out of that side screw. There we go. You can see the water coming out now. Bleeding the air out of the cylinder head. So I'll just let that run through a little bit and put the bung back in. Wherever it is, there it is. Give it a bit of a squeeze so it's a good steady flow, and then bung it in. That's the cooling system blade. Can't see any on the, oh there is one on the back of the heater hose, I'll do that one in a minute. And the head's bled, so in theory the heater one, there you go. That's the, see the water coming out the back? That's got rid of any airlocks in there as well. Wait for a nice steady stream. And just top it back up to max again. And let it warm up fully, let the fans kick in and go from there. So up to temperature now. I washed all the excess coolant and everything off. That's what the steam's coming from the radiator. So anytime now it should kick the fan in. Nope. There's a chance it's going to run out of fuel before it gets hot as well. Anyway, in other news, got 3 tyres for it. Yes, the part ones, but the 2 back ones will match, and the front one will match. That good front one. So you'll have a pair on the front matching, pair on the back matching. People get a bit upset about part 1 tyres, but if you buy a car, it's got part 1 tyres on it. You don't know the history of them, you don't know where they came from. So you're probably better off, especially on something like this, just financially it's not worth it. Good part 1s for a reputable place online. They're all 2024, so they're all less than a year old. Some of them probably on 6-month-old. Because the ones that were on it, let's say there was one at the front, 2021, no, sorry, no, the other way around. A 2001 winter tyre on the front left. There was a 2016 on the rear left. And I think there was a 2018 on the rear right. However, the ones on the left hand side were a different size to the ones on the right hand side. So by the time I'd got one to match the other front, I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to buy 2 more, do it properly. So that's why the back end's up on axle stands. The good thing I did see is I've run out of axle stands because the other ones are all underneath the Skoda, so I've ended up with the front's just sat on a jack, which isn't ideal. However, it's not going anywhere. I'm not working on it underneath anyway. It's got new back springs on it. It's got new front shocks on it. It's got new anti-roll bar link on it, one side. It's got new pads in it, and it's had a new drive shaft. So everything really, in theory, should be all right. Everything's fairly new in there, and that explains why it's got the clunking. I suspect it's either been put together wrong, or there was something wrong with the turntable they didn't notice when they took it apart. But this is taking forever. All being well, in fact, we better check for leaks actually. Spotless, not a single bit of leak in there. That's where it was pouring down before, if you've seen the other video. Just need it to warm up, kick the fan in. Current levels, looks like it's on maximum. You can't see, so I'm not pointing at it. Just on the max or just below, but I can't open that now, it's hot. Because it'll all expand suddenly. Cam belt I've got, in fact I'll show you the pile of goodies. Full set of new mats. Okay, the cheapy ones, but they're better than what's in it. Cam belt, that was the gasket, top strut mounts, and an oil filter. Once the oil's warmed up, once the fan kicks in and it's all done its thing, I'll try and show you these while we're waiting. The on the tops of the strut, you get the top strut mounting. The spring sits, that bolts through the car, that's your top mount. You get the bearing, and that's what the spring collar sits on. And as you turn the steering, it turns both halves. The top half stays still, and the spring rotates underneath it. Now, these are quite prone for seizing up, and you don't get that movement. And what you do get is a spring is tensioned, and then it's held, and then goes bang. And that's what the clunking is. When it sounds like a broken spring, but the springs are okay as far as I can tell. I hope they are. They're coming off anyway. But that's what the main usual problem with them is. These seize up, they're under the wheel arches, open to all the elements, and if they're not assembled correctly, it won't turn. If it's been put in with it seized up, it won't turn when you turn the steering. So that'll be what I'm hoping is the issue. Can't be much else, because there's nothing else really in there. Mats are just nice plain black, got clips. Last thing to go in. Just makes any old car look nicer, and I'm in two minds whether to repaint those because they're a bit scruffy, but then they've got lumps missing out the edges. So I think realistically, I don't know, a quick blast over with some paint, but then I've got to mask up these, and that'd be a bit of a pain. Unless they clip on. No, they're melted on. If they were just clipped on, it wouldn't be so bad, but they look like they're melted in place. Or are they? It's a lot of faffing about. Unless I can find something that'll sit over them. Like a bit of plastic tube or something over them. And then just give them a think, just trim off the broken bits and cracks. I don't know, we'll see. I might be going too far with it then. But, let's see if it's warmed up yet. Oh, there you go, the fan's just kicked in. That's the fan on. That's got up to temperature. There's no sign of any leaks anywhere. Heater pipes are nice and warm. Once it's cooled down again, now it's circulated. Check the hot water. Check the hot water. It's hot water now. Check the coolant. Make sure it hasn't dropped and lost any. For now, I'm going to put the battery cover back on. Put all this side back together because it's coolant running with an open throttle housing. I am going to do the. Yeah, there's a little bit of oil creeping around there. I'm probably going to take this off. I'm going to do the tappets anyway, because you can just hear them. You'll hear them more on the video. I don't think they're horrendously bad, but it just sounds a little bit nicer if they're not tacky. Yeah, it started raining now. Got this back together. Missing a little clip there, so I might just put a little tie wrap through just to hold that in place. Yeah, change the oil and filter. There was just nothing to see, so it's just as easy to do that. Coolant level is on the max. Next job is going to be get the wipers off, get this panel off, so I can undo these nuts down the bottom of there. I'm going to spray those up so that he less likely to round off. Excuse me. Also, I just threw the back wheels back on this side. All the brakes and everything seem all right. They work fine. The handbrake works fine. There's no broken springs, no manky brake pipes. Oh, excuse me. No, nothing. So, got those back on. Now it's sat level. Get the have a look in here. Get the flash on, you can see. Yeah, this is quite new. This is anti-roll bar links new. Got a tag on the drive shaft, so maybe that's new. Not sure about the CV joint. I think one of them's clicking a little bit. But yeah, that's what I'm saying about the spring seats up there in that white collar. That's where the bearing sits. And if that's not together properly or in the wrong place or it's knackered, then that'll be the click and crunchy thing. We've got brand new brake pads in. Discs aren't very old. There's a tiny little lip on this side, but I think we've done all right really for extra things that we didn't know about. There you go, focused eventually. So I don't think I'm going to get much more done today because it's starting to chuck it down and I'm not that keen on working outside in the rain. I think that'll call it a day. It's gone all right. Not got as much done this weekend as I was hoping. I was hoping to get the front struts off this today, but weather-wise and time yesterday just flew away. I don't know what happened. By the time I got out and done the rover video, it was getting dark. Yeah, I think that'll do. So thank you very much for watching. I know there's not been an awful lot in this. I will edit it down a lot because I think there's about an hour and a half worth of footage and nobody's going to watch that. So I'm going to get in out of the rain, get packed away and get this sorted. I might actually put the front end on axle stands just so it's a bit more proper. because it's balanced on a jack at the moment because I ran out. I'll just chuck this wheel back on, that's the other option, but it's got to come off again. So there you go. Thank you very much. Like, comment and subscribe. If you want to buy it, let me know, because it'll be for sale soon. Hopefully by the end of November it'll be done, and it'll be up for sale. So anybody that's after a cheap run around, let me know, give us a shout. I'm near Lincoln, that area of the country. And yeah, good old British weather. I'm hiding here for a bit. So thank you very much. See you in another video. Cheers. Bye bye.